Cosmic 101 signing on for the Scorpio Rising Astrology for the month of July 2024. We're going to have a look at the outer planets now. These are slower moving transits for these planets that I'm going to mention. So they move very slowly. So they don't ingress into different signs in your chart very often at all. Now, Uranus is still direct in Taurus, your 7th house, and Uranus goes into a retrograde on September 1st, so you may want to keep that percolating in your astrological mind. Jupiter's direct in Gemini in its detriment sign, your 8th house, and goes into a retrograde on October 9. Pluto's retrograding in Aquarius, your 4th house, up until September 1st, when it then retrogrades into the sign of Capricorn, your 3rd house. Saturn's retrograde in the sign of Pisces, your 5th house. Saturn went retrograde only on 29 June, not very long ago. Saturn retrograded in Pisces, your 5th house, direct November 15. And on July 2nd, Neptune's going into a retrograde in Pisces, your 5th house, co-present with that retrograde Saturn, and goes direct on December 7. So for you as a Scorpio rising, you've got your 5th house trining your 1st house, which is a great aspect to have. Trines are easier. Not a lot of tension, if you will. Things are flowing along okay. So when you have your Saturn and Neptune retrograding in your 5th house, up until November, December of this year, what is these two planets expressing or relaying to you? It's identifying illusions, what's not working, what needs more structure, connected to the 5th house topics of romantic partnerships, romance and your sense of joy and pleasure, sex, investments, gambling, children, creativity, sports. This is where we go to the gym and we feel very energetic to change our physical bodies and be in flow with ourselves. This house is a very busy house connected to creativity also. So when you have Saturn and Neptune retrograding, moving very, very slowly in your 5th house of joy and pleasure that trines your 1st house, this is an opportunity to have a look at what's real, what's not real, what needs to be kicked to the curb, and what's got the staying distance. Now on to the lunations for the month of July. Well, on the 5th of July, there's a new moon in the sign of Cancer. Wow, it's almost very romantic and dreamy and flowy, the sensation of this new moon, because the moon's in its own domicile sign. In a quick explanation, the moon really likes being in the sign of Cancer. It can do lunar things very organically, which is shine, feel connected, feel much like they're in tune. It's in tune with its own physical body. This is a new moon that feels pretty organic and on point for all of us. For you, Scorpio rising, this new moon's occurring in your 9th house, and it trines your 1st house. So again, it's pretty good. There's no real struggle here with a trine. From your 1st house of character, how people see and know you personally and physically, and your psychological space, how people connect with you, psychologically. Do you come across one way to one person and one way to another? That's a possibility as a Scorpio rising. Scorpio risings can wear many hats. And we're talking about this physical body and your psychology and how people connect with you, trining your 1st house and 9th house, where this new moon is occurring for you as a Scorpio rising. And your 9th house topics quickly is connected to higher education. So universities, institutions where you go to learn and expand your mental horizons, that connects you to the world in a larger whole differently than you've experienced before. Different cultures, international and foreign connections, legalities, legal situations or aspects of your experience. It's also the house that's connected to your spiritual and philosophical outlook on life or your beliefs about them, how you connect through others through them. The house of media and publishing it's a very busy house indeed, as all houses are. So when you're having a new moon, and this is a long-winded explanation, but a necessary one, Scorpio risings, you are ready to emotionally anchor into a new commitment that feels like you're on an educational journey that's going to expand your philosophical horizons. You may come out appearing to others as someone that's dedicated to a different psychological perception about yourself or life in general. It's a very academic new moon is what I'm getting here for you as a Scorpio rising on the 5th of July. Come the 21st of July, we've got a very different flavoured full moon occurring in your third house in the moon's detriment sign. In general, the moon doesn't operate so well in the sign of Capricorn. Why? Because it's a long way from its home sign of Cancer. Hard to express, very disciplined in expressing its emotions, and could come off as a bloody cold foot under a warm bed in the middle of winter. That's what a moon in Capricorn can feel like. It's detached, it's very cold, it's very practical, and wants to know the details. Don't embellish bullshit to me. I need to know the facts. So when you've got a full moon occurring in your third house, with Saturn being the dispositor of the full moon in your fifth house of joy and pleasure, retrograding co-present with retrograde Neptune, sextiling the full moon. This is interesting, Scorpio rising. What I find is very helpful to you at this time of the full moon in your third house, sextiling your first house, is getting down to the details in regards to education, teaching, learning, technologies, gadgets, siblings, cousins, your local environment, short distance travel. This is like, what work do I need to get done here, or what do I need to make sure that I can feel like I'm in line with my environment. I feel connected. I don't feel overwhelmed. I'm going to remove distraction. And it could have a lot to do with investing in new technologies or things that are going to improve your everyday life. And I don't think there's any fluff about this. If you need to look at something financial, for example, you're looking at a long-term investment that's going to benefit you through education or teaching. Your immediate environment where you connect with people every day, and something about your learning or you being more receptive to learning. So I like this full moon for you as, let's just get down to the details and what's working for me, what's not in my immediate environment connected to those third house topics, and what's not. Is it a romantic partner? Is it an investment? Do I feel like I'm in my creative flow? Is it my health habits that I need to look at? Saturn's helping you identify and sift through the crap. What is and what isn't. Great day on the 21st of July for getting down to the deets and not getting too dragged down the emotional rabbit hole while you're trying to get your shit together. Now the sun is continuing its transit in the sign of Cancer, opening up the month of July for you, your ninth house, Scorpio rising. So sun in the ninth is pretty strong. It's very much connected to those ninth house topics, but being optimistic and joyful about pursuing and learning new things, or connecting with people from different places other than your usual haunts. It's a great transit for getting out of the familiar and learning something different and connecting with others through different diversity and options connected to what makes you feel emotionally plugged in, and who do you connect with that feels safe and secure. They feel pretty solid. This is what you could be experiencing when the sun's transiting in that ninth house. Well, on the 22nd of July until August 22nd, a 4-week window, the sun's going to be ingressing into its domicile sign of Leo. Very happy, very much at home in Leo. Can do sun things quite organically, which is shine. And going into your 10th house as a Scorpio rising squares your first house. Your career needs you. There's something going on with your professional life that needs your attention and sort of dragging you into directions because it's squaring your first house of physical body, character, psychology. This is where you may be like, oh, a little bit overwhelmed with that strong sun in its own home sign of Leo knocking on your proverbial window for your attention and or your energy possibly being zapped in a professional space for you as a Scorpio rising. Nothing you can't handle. It's a 4-week transit. But your career and your public image and how people see you in a professional space or even on a public space will be pretty important to you. You want to be proud. You want to be loud, sassy, and audacious. And the sun transiting here can give you maybe too much attention in your 10th house of career. So if you've been flying under the radar, or you feel like you haven't been noticed, this transit is going to be pretty hard for significant people in your work environment or professional space not to see or know you. Now, planet Mars is your ruling planet. If you don't know that as a Scorpio rising, it's your ruling planet other than Pluto. So you have 2 planets. Lucky you, Scorpio rising. Well, Mars has been transiting in Taurus in its detriment. Your 7th house opposing your 1st house. How's that transit been going for you, Scorpio rising? Feel free to leave some comments in the comments below. Only you know you and the experience you've been having, which is Mars in your relationship, contracts, agreements, and partnership house opposing your 1st house. Me versus me. Now, Mars here can have you feeling like you need to get rid of relationships or agreements or contracts, eliminate. That may be hard for you to do, or you're trying to develop strategies that seem slow but necessary to sift through what's working for you with relationships, partnerships, agreements, contracts, and negotiations. This is how Mars can be playing out for you. Don't underestimate that strong Mars that rules your planet. Ultimately, Mars will do Martian things to create harmony and bliss. It could leave collateral damage or conflict behind its wake to do this. So it's an interesting transit with Mars in that 7th house, Scorpio rising indeed. Well, on the 15th of July, that Mars, your ruling planet, super significant, is going to conjunct Uranus on this day. I have uploaded a separate video on the Cosmic Girl 101 YouTube channel about this conjunction only. It's an astrological big deal when we've got planets conjuncting no less powerful Mars and very acute, strange planet Uranus. So you may want to go back and look at that channel about this conjunction on the 15th of July 2024. So for you as a Scorpio rising with Mars being your planetary ruler, conjuncting that Uranus, opposing in the 7th house, in detriment, in the sign of Taurus, Venus's home sign. It's a flavour of out with the old, in for the new. Out with the old and in with the new is the metaphor I'd like to present to you to sit with about this upcoming conjunction. Getting down to the absolute nitty-gritty of what is sustainable and what is not. What strategy do I need to develop to create unity that's beneficial for me? Do I have that support through my relationships, the partnerships, the contracts that I'm anchored into? This is the 7th house and it's about joy and pleasure as well. So we get joy and pleasure. But what agreements and what people do I have around me that give me that? And if they don't, you could be very driven to some super surprises deep within yourself that you're going to activate some really big change connected to the seventh house topics, or a partner or an agreement or a negotiation could throw you completely off with some very harsh communication that takes you in a different trajectory from a partner or a contract that you're connected with. It's a dicey day, to be transparent, because Uranus is extremely unpredictable. Yet a conjunction sets the beginning of a new path moving forward of change. Welcome to planet Earth. That's what we're here to do all the time. We cannot sustain being stagnant, stale, in the old, in the familiar. We need to move forward and change and evolve. And this conjunction this day can have you moving and shaking proactively, or someone coming in that makes you react very explosively. Interesting day, Scorpio rising. On the 20th of July, Mars is ingressing into the sign of Gemini after he creates a shit fight in your 7th house of harmony and pleasure until September 4, and this is your 8th house. Partnerships connected to agreements, investments, finance. This is the house that's connected to debt, resources from benefactors, connected to ancestry, inheritances, long-term investments that give you resources and finances that support you. So when Mars is ingressing through here, this is the moment to sift through all your financials connected with you and a significant other, or just you, your own financials. Get on top of things while you've got Mars here, because Mars can help you detach from any emotional connections related to those 8th house topics of finances and resources, to clear the decks and let go, get rid of the weight of debt or agreements and contracts and negotiations with assets and valuables and resources. Very helpful, believe it or not, your ruling planet here. On the 21st of July, you've got Mars trining retrograde Pluto in Aquarius, your 4th house. This day is interesting with Mars and Pluto, like these two guys that rule your 1st house as a Scorpio rising, trining each other in your 4th house of home, family, real estate, property, ancestry, parents, parenting, the sense of sanctuary, where you feel safe and secure, squaring your 1st house. Well, tell you what, if there's something not going on in the home dynamics or connected to real estate and property, I'll eat my hat. It's for you as a Scorpio rising. But your ruling planets in a trine aspect is great, in as much as things are easier to look at or deal with connected with home and investments with other people or resources, ancestry, inheritances, etc. And it's actually going to help your home, or you could just have the finances now to redecorate, for example, or you get that inheritance check, or things seem easier with you and others connected to investments and assets and resources that can benefit the home and your family and even parents as well. The 25th of July, we see Mars sextiling the Sun, currently transiting in your 10th house, that Sun and Mars currently transiting in the 8th house. This is a dynamic day for taking bold action, making really strategic moves in landing a lucrative agreement or contract from your workplace situation or an employment situation. Could get an offer that's beneficial to you, or a partner may land a lucrative contract that's going to take you to a new level in regards to your earning power, or just being seen as a lot more powerful or influential in your workplace or your partner's workplace. So a great day, the 25th of July. Planet Mercury is transiting in Cancer. Well, has been, because only on July 2nd, Mercury ingresses into Leo, your 10th house of career, how you're seen and known publicly on the public stage. So Mercury here can have you busily connecting do a lot of movement with work, a lot of dialogue and interaction, paperwork, red tape dealt with that Mercury in that 10th house. Mercury can be quite tricky, so forewarned is forearmed. Look at the details. Don't skim over any data or analytics that are necessary connected to your career and contracts, for example, Scorpio Rising. Don't overlook the details. If I even have to say that to a Scorpio Rising, for goodness sake. On the 8th of July, Mercury is going to sextile Jupiter, currently transiting in Gemini, Mercury's domicile sign, your 8th house. So what's good about a sextile is it's an easier aspect. Things are going smoothly. Well, what's going smoothly? Your career connected to your finances and resources, or a partner's resources and finances are going great because they're going great guns at work. Quite simply, it's work and finance lining up nicely. The 21st of July, you see Mercury squaring Uranus and Taurus, your 7th house to your 10th house. It's like, what the hell is happening on this day? I really want to enjoy myself, and my partner or something going on at work needs my attention more than me going home earlier and enjoying a wine. Just a shitty, like, what? I thought I was on top of this, or something comes across your table that may throw you for a loop regarding communication or paperwork and could be affecting your relationships or, again, your sense of joy and pleasure. Agreements, contracts, negotiations. Something tricky going on here because Mercury's pretty tricky. Don't be fooled by Mercury being, oh, it's all about movement and connection and travel, and I'm really lit up and I'm in control of my mind. Get down to my Zen. Bullshit. Mercury can really throw us all for a loop. Know what you need to know. Slow your roll. Be very deliberate and practical. On the 25th of July, Mercury is going to ingress into the sign of Virgo. Very strong. This is Mercury's sign of exaltation and domicile until the 4th of August, ingressing into your 11th house. Purifying and clearing the decks connected to communication, traveling, your mental dexterity being lit on fire when it comes to establishing who's your allies, who's your tribe, what's working, what's not with my dreams and goals and aspirations, and who do I actually need to engage with to improve my status connected to career, employment, and my public image. Very strong transit, Mercury in its home sign of Virgo. Think of purifying and clearing the decks. Think of making things beautiful, getting back to school, learning, interacting with others through groups and organisations that you proactively want to engage with. This is very strong that you could be coming up with on July 25th until the 4th of August 2024. Now, Venus has been transiting in Cancer, your 9th house, and on the 8th sextiles Uranus in Taurus. So relationships connected to larger institutions, larger academia, philosophical teachings, media, publishing, international connections. Great day for things lining up with people that you want to be in contract with or agreements with. And also your sense of joy and pleasure could be connected with just looking at different cultures and learning new things from a higher, more experienced perspective from other people. On the 11th of July until August 4th, Venus is transiting in the sign of Leo, your 10th house. This is where you can let your freak flag fly in letting your workplace know or public know you're pretty damn special and you have a lot of value and you can bring a lot of joy and fun to a workplace. This is where you make powerful connections. You can see an increase in your earning power, or you could be seen as someone that's just ready to invest in different parts or facets of your career or your employment situation. On the 21st of July, Venus is going to sextile Jupiter in Gemini. So your 8th house to your 10th house in a sextile. The two benefics, Venus and Jupiter, awesome connection, aspect, a sextile from the two benefics. 8th house to the 10th house. Seriously, this just looks like if you've been waiting to sign a contract or an agreement that's going to boost your career or your public image, You feel like an investment or asset, like the juice is worth the squeeze, or a partner's as well. This is the day to sign on the dotted line and get things going. Things seem to be landing and coming online quite nicely for you as a Scorpio rising on the 21st of July, connected to you and others that are helpful, beneficial resources. Cosmic Girl 101 signing off. I trust you have a fabulous month of July 2024. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.